Welcome to the True Man Podcast. This is an invitation to radical reconstruction of a man's masculine heart and soul in a place of safe community where we dare to ask questions deep seated inside a man and explore ways to help you become a better man, a better son, a better dad, and a better spouse. Well, thank you for listening to the True Man Podcast. Are you excited? We get to kick off summer here and slide into the Memorial Day weekend. And yes, it is a long weekend. Yes, it provides a little extra time to relax and have some downtime. But let me encourage you to think about and pray about the men and women that came before us and made the ultimate sacrifice so that we could celebrate a long weekend, watch the Indy 500, and yes, have a couple of cold beers. But let us not forget those that have defend our freedom day in and day out and do so with tremendous honor, tremendous dignity. God bless each and every one of you that have served our great nation and continue to serve this great nation. Thank you for all that you do. So last week on episode 239, we talked about the danger of chasing new and how it can affect our lives. And I'd really like to continue on that concept by talking about doing foundational work in our lives so that we can build the life that we want. So let me start by asking a question, as I like to do right out of the gate to set the tone. What are you building with your life right now? Not what are you talking about building, not what you're hoping to build someday, but what are you actively building today? Because whether you realize it or not, every man is building something. Your habits are building something. Your routines are building something. Your thoughts are building something. Your relationships are certainly building something. And your faith, or lack of it, is building something. And eventually, what you've been building internally becomes visible externally, no matter how hard you try to hide it. So again, last week we talked about the danger of new, a new house, a new car, a new opportunity, and a new season. And while there's nothing wrong with enjoying new things, the danger comes when external excitement distracts us from internal development. Because external upgrades do not automatically create internal transformation. And after that episode, I couldn't stop thinking about something. So once a man begins renewing himself internally, what exactly is he building with that renewal? And that's where I want to go right now, because renewal without direction eventually loses all of its momentum. And one of the things that moving into this new home I'm in now in Arkansas has reminded me, it's reminded me of the importance of foundations. You see, nobody walks into a house and gets excited about the foundation, do they? Nobody says, man, look over at that concrete slab. Nobody says that. No. And they notice the kitchen. They notice the flooring, the countertops, the paint colors. They notice what's visible. But here's the reality. The entire house depends on the part nobody sees. And that's exactly how life works. Most people focus on appearances, but God focuses on foundation. And we should too, if we're going to build a new home like I'm in right now. You can build a beautiful looking life on a weak foundation. And you can do that for a while. It may even look successful until pressure hits, until difficulty comes up, until the storms show up. Well, then suddenly what's underneath gets exposed, doesn't it? You know, Jesus directly talked about this in Matthew chapter 7. He said, "Everyone then who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock." And then he says something really important. Then the rain fell, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall. Why? Because the foundation was strong. And we need that solid foundation, don't we? You see, every man listening to me right now is building a house called his life. The question is, what are you building it on? Are you building it on image, on approval, on money, on comfort, on ego, on distraction? Or are you building on discipline, truth, faith, integrity, and purpose? Geez, which one sounds better to you? Because eventually, the foundation always reveals itself. Now, I remember years ago watching people chase what looks successful on the outside, big jobs, big titles, big personalities. And that was me too. And some of those men looked strong from a distance until life tested them. And suddenly everything collapsed. Not because they weren't talented, but because they had spent years building appearance instead of character. And if I'm being honest, I've had seasons of my own life where I did that same thing. Seasons where I focused more on achievement than alignment, more on activity than intentionality, more on looking strong than actually becoming strong. Have you been there? Where externally things looked fine, but internally you knew something needed attention, right? Just like your car needs an oil change. You know, that's one of the reasons I believe so many men feel exhausted today because they're maintaining appearances instead of building foundations. And maintaining appearances, well, candidly, it's exhausting. So let me ask you a hard question. Who are you when nobody's watching? Not when you're posting online, not when you're around people, not when you're being praised. Who are you privately? Because that man is the foundation. And I think one of the greatest mistakes men make is believing big moments create great lives. They don't. Daily habits do. Quiet disciplines do. Repeated decisions do. And most lives are not destroyed in dramatic moments, although the movies make you feel that. No, they erode slowly, one compromise at a time, one distraction at a time, one undisciplined decision at a time. And great lives, well, they're built the same way. One prayer at a time, one workout at a time, one honest conversation at a time, one disciplined day at a time. So here's what I've learned. The man you become is being constructed daily, whether you realize it or not. And the scary part is many men are drifting into becoming someone they never intended to become. Not because they're evil, but because they're passive. You see, passive men don't build intentionality. They react emotionally, they drift culturally, and they follow convenience. And over time, their lives reflect it. That's why intentionality matters. A strong life rarely happens by accident. And I've been thinking a lot lately about construction zones On my drive here to Arkansas, I went through a few of them. When roads are being rebuilt, it's messy, isn't it? Construction is messy business. Traffic slows down, things look incomplete. Sometimes it even looks worse before it looks better, doesn't it? But underneath of it all, something stronger is being built. And I think that many men quit too early in their growth because construction, let's face it, construction just feels uncomfortable. We all want immediate results, immediate confidence, immediate discipline, immediate peace. But men, real construction takes time. So, can I ask you something? What season of construction are you currently in? Where is God rebuilding you right now? Can you feel it? Do you sense it? Is it your patience, your faith, your discipline, your marriage, your leadership? Because if you're uncomfortable, that doesn't always mean something is wrong. It may mean construction is happening. And one of the things that moving back to Arkansas has reminded me of is how much people matter: family, friends, community. I've realized something. Strong men are not built in isolation, and I've known that for a while. But it's really been cemented as I've gotten around great people. And you need people around you who sharpen you, who challenge you, who remind you who you are when life gets difficult, because, guys, it always gets difficult. We weren't promised easy. And Proverbs says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. Important to get around those people that can sharpen you. That's not casual language either. Sharpening creates friction. Growth creates friction. And construction creates discomfort. And most men avoid the very environments that would strengthen them because they want comfort more than growth. But comfort rarely builds strong men. No, responsibility does. Adversity does. Discipline does. Faithfulness does. One of the things that I love about newly built homes is this: everything looks so clean. Well, for the most part, seems like we're pretty dusty around here as we go through boxes and move stuff around. But everything looks clean. Everything looks fresh, untouched. But eventually life happens inside the home. People make memories there. Children grow up in our homes. Hard conversations happen here. Celebrations happen here. You get a nick on the wall here or there, a hole over here or there. And over time, the house reveals what it was built to withstand, doesn't it? That's life. Life. Eventually, your foundation gets tested, not if, when. And when it does, your routines matter, your faith matters, your discipline matters, your mindset matters, your ability to prepare for those ifs matters. And that's why conditioning your mind matters so much. Last week, we talked about conditioning your mind, your body, and your spirit. Now we take the next step. You condition those things because you're building something. Your mind builds your perspective. Your body builds your endurance, and your spirit builds your foundation. And without intentional conditioning, your construction weakens. So let me say something directly to all of you listening today. You do not rise to the level of your intentions. You fall to the level of your conditioning. That's why a man who can want a strong marriage, but without discipline, patience, and leadership, well, the marriage is going to struggle. A man can want peace, but without renewing his mind, anxiety dominates him. A man can want purpose, but without action, he's going to stay stuck. You see, desire is not enough. Construction requires work. You know, Nehemiah understood this in the Bible. One of my favorite stories in scripture is the rebuilding of the wall in Jerusalem. This is something I've been reading about over the last few days as I work myself through the Bible in a year again. You see, the city was broken, the walls were destroyed, the people were discouraged, but Nehemiah stepped in and rebuilt. Not overnight, brick by brick, section by section, with opposition, with pressure, with criticism, but he just kept building. And the story really speaks directly into the life of every man, because many men are standing in the middle of broken places internally, wondering if rebuilding is even possible. And the answer is yes. But it starts one section, one brick at a time. You know, maybe right now God is rebuilding your discipline. Maybe He's rebuilding your confidence. Maybe He's rebuilding your faith, your marriage. Don't despise the construction process, because God often builds the strongest men through rebuilding seasons. You know, I think about my own life. 20 years old, I thought success was about becoming the big fish in the big pond. But maturity teaches you something different. You know, real success is becoming the right man in every environment God places you in. And now in this season of life, I'm far less concerned with appearances, far less concerned with providing, or far less concerned with proving something. I'm much more focused on foundations. Am I becoming stronger internally? Am I leading well? Am I growing spiritually? Am I building something meaningful? Am I becoming the man God has called me to be? Now, those are better questions to ask. And maybe those are the questions you need to ask yourself too. Because eventually, the life you're building externally will reveal the man you've become internally. So let me challenge you this week, if you're up for it. Don't just ask, what do I want? Ask, what am I building? What habits are you building? What mindset are you building? What relationships are you building? What spiritual foundation are you building? Because every day you're laying bricks, man. The question is whether you're building intentionally or accidentally. And here's the good news. No matter where you are today, construction can begin again. That's grace. That's growth. That's redemption. You see, God specializes in rebuilding things people thought were too broken. And that includes men. So don't get discouraged if life feels messy right now. I'm guessing it probably is. But construction zones are messy. Growth seasons are messy. Rebuilding seasons are messy. But don't stop building. Stay disciplined, stay faithful, stay intentional, stay connected to God, and keep laying bricks. Because one day you'll look back and realize the strength you wanted, the peace you wanted, the purpose you wanted was being built quietly the entire time. Build the man, and the life will follow. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the True Man Podcast. If you did, grab your phone right now. I know you're listening on your phone. My stats tell me that. So just grab your phone right now. Fire this thing off to a buddy. Help us build momentum, the message. Let's get this into the hands of men that need it. Stop isolating. Stop sitting on the sofa playing video games. Let's get out and do great things together. Let's build a massive community. Speaking of communities, more on that. You've heard me talk about over the last few weeks the American Family Renaissance. Wow, we are really building some great stuff with that. We're going to be promoting this all over the summer. We've really decided in September, that's when we're going to kick off the summit. But there's going to be some great things that happen prior to that. So you're going to hear me talking a lot and rolling out the American Family Renaissance. But for now, we have this great podcast. Don't keep it a secret. Share it with your buddies. In fact, as I like to talk about, take these weekly topics, bring them into your men's small group, talk about them, gain wisdom from them, discern about them. And I hope that these messages are impacting your lives. Let me know. Reach out to me. Send me an email at mike@truemanlifecoaching.com. You can always go out to the website, truemanlifecoaching.com. If you have a group you'd like me to come speak to in person or online, I can't always hop on a plane, but if you have a group that's meeting online and you'd like to have a speaker, hey, I'd love to come talk. Keynote is really largely based around the power of asking for help. This is a challenge that we all face. And I'd love to speak to your group. Love to help you personally. If you want to talk more about this podcast, again, reach out. You can go to my website, truemanlifecoaching.com, and my calendar's there. Just grab some time on the calendar. Well, again, have a great Memorial Day weekend. Have a safe Memorial Day weekend. And remember what Memorial Day weekend is all about. So say some prayers to those families that have lost a loved one, and just think about how you get to enjoy freedom because and as a result of people that have made the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you again for listening this week. God bless you, and go out and make this your very, very best Memorial Day weekend ever. God bless you.